most watched Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls, which, a lot of people said they were going to protest this because they didn't want to see Chiefs Eagles. They didn't want to see the Chiefs in this again. I'm not watching it if they're going to be in it again. This is boring. This isn't what I wanted. 126 million people watching the Super Bowl this year. So they did fine. 133 million for the halftime show. So shout out Kendrick. Broke Michael Jackson's record on that. So, people can complain and say whatever they want, but people are still here watching it. And I'm not going to say it was a good game. I'm not gonna sit here. It was 40-22, and it was not even that close. That game with the Eagles beating the Chiefs. It was an unholy ass whooping that the Kansas City Chiefs took in that game. It was almost unsettling to watch. And it was one of those things, we talked about it all week on Super Week. Like, I was rooting for the Chiefs because I just really didn't want to see Philly win. I didn't want the Eagles to win again. I didn't want Philadelphia fans to have that. And I wanted to see, let's just see history. Let's see a three-peat happen. This will probably never happen again in the NFL. But I don't know if you felt the same way or anything close to it. But as the second quarter was going, I think it was the Cooper DeJean pick six that sealed it for me. And then Jalen Hurts threw that 24-yard touchdown to Devontae Smith and made it, it was like 40-something yards. It made it 24-0 right before halftime. Right. I was like, you know what? Damn. I'm kind of low-key rooting for Philly. I'm kind of feeling Philly right now.
Yeah, I think I was officially checked out after the game, after this halftime show, right? I don't think I really watched any of the third or the fourth quarter. I was kind of up and moving around. I was, interacting with people who were around me and kind of just shooting the shit with them. But I just, at this point, it's who did I want to lose more at that? Like you said, you didn't want the Eagles to have it because, you want to give the Eagles anything. For me, it's I don't want to give any more credit to Patrick Mahomes than what he's already gotten to this point. He gets that three-peat, and then the GOAT conversation is still going to continue to happen. And I don't care who you are, Philly fans, anybody. There was nobody happier with the outcome of that game than Tom Brady calling it.
Oh yeah,
and seeing just Patrick Mahomes just implode the whole time. You just hear him kind of slightly giggle in the background while he's watching the game. But I also have a question. I don't know if I feel bad for Chiefs fans. I mean, I think it humbled them a little bit, but I think I feel a little bit more bad for the people who are living in these third world countries that are getting all this three-peat gear from the Chiefs, because that's all been printed. So they're gonna be super confused because what do you mean three-peat? We already got stuff for the Rams and for the Niners. How did they get a three-peat? They didn't win the last 2 years.
What's happening over there? What has Donald Trump done?
You have to think if they're not tapped into technology and actually keeping up with sports in real time, and they're just basing it off of basing their sports knowledge off the swag that they're getting, they're living in a complete alternate reality than us.
Oh yeah,
and I think that would blow my mind.
I don't know how to feel for Chiefs. I do feel a little bad for Chiefs fans because it felt like I think there were a lot of fans, my mom included, that thought there was a possibility they'd lose this game and lose to Philly. Philly's a good team, but they thought it would be close. Just like the last one was 38-35 when Kansas City beat them. Nobody saw that. I did. I certainly did not see that coming. I mean, even the odds, the line was 1.5 up to game time. So there was no way of seeing a blowout happen between these two. And I think it kind of deflates you as a fan to be okay, so maybe people weren't full of shit that we're talking all year about how, we're not actually 15-2. We're not a 15-2 kind of team, because they didn't look like it there. You were just completely manhandled by another team. You were manhandled on defense. I've never seen Mahomes, maybe short of the game against Tampa in the Super Bowl a few years back, but even then, I have never seen Mahomes look as helpless and jarred as he did during that game, and he was just taking hit after hit. Their O-line isn't bad, and Philly's defense never blitzed. In all of in everything that they did, they never blitzed in that game. It just sent 4 the entire time. So like, I don't know how you're supposed to feel as an Eagles fan about like, what do we do next? What do we do to possibly overcome this?
Right. And they better figure it out, how to improve that offensive line or something around Patrick Mahomes, because the Eagles just gave the other 30 teams in the NFL the blueprint on how to beat the Chiefs. Don't blitz, just rush your 4, get a stud defensive line going, and then drop everyone else back, because, when you don't want to give up coverage and give Patrick Mahomes, because he's gonna run, sideline to sideline, trying to extend a play just to wait for somebody to get open. But, if you have two extra defenders drop back into coverage versus, 4, you're improving your odds of him not being able to get one of those crazy sidearm, no look passes off, and just tell your defensive lineman, look, you got to get pressure on him and get pressure on him fast, and just let everyone else do the work. That's all you got to worry about, is running forward. So, right. I mean, if you're the Bills, if you're Cincinnati looking at this, like, hey, we need to replicate that next year.
Well, and I think every team has looked at it well. Mm-hmm. John Keim, the reporter for the Washington Commanders, like he pointed out during the game, what you see, it truly is the blueprint here. Philly has it,
right?
And it's pure. It's the trenches. Like that's why if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm feeling good about getting Mike Vrabel as my coach. That dude loves linemen, just like Dan Campbell in Detroit. They love linemen, and if you have an offensive line that is purely dominant compared to everybody else, like you just look at them. I think they showed the stats during the game that the average height of the Philly O-line is 6. I think they said 6'5" and
Damn.
like 320 or something like just that.
Beefcakes.
Yeah, and the same thing on their defensive line. Look at Jonathan Davis and Jalen Carter on the D line. Brandon Graham over there. Josh Sweat had the game of his life in that one. Like, these are monstrous dudes that are just dominating right there in the trenches. And if you can't do anything against that, or you're outsized completely, then yeah, you're on your own offense. You're going to be throwing and just getting caught into shit where Cooper DeJean or Darius Slays of the world are going to be taking advantage of it. The Zach Bonds, these linebackers are going to be taking advantage of it. And on offense, Saquon Barkley, obviously a huge upgrade for them, but he didn't really do much of shit in that game.
He did what he was intended to do. The Chiefs couldn't give him an opportunity to be impactful. So like, you have to have a spy on him and, kind of keep him in check, but that just opens up everything else around Jalen.
Right.
I mean, this is a better, passing game for Jalen that's go around. I mean, like you said, he had that monster throw to Devontae Smith in the third quarter?
Yeah.
And then, even just seeing how comfortable he was in the pocket throughout the game, like, and that could just be to the fact that Saquon was on the field and the Chiefs had to pick him up.
So I'll ask it like we have for every team that has, finished their season up so far in the postseason. What does come next for the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, what do you see them being able to rebound from this, or was this a sign of the times? Like, they're not going to be able to take on, at the very least, Philly in the Super Bowl next year if they were to make it. Let's say Kansas City makes it back another go around. Can they do they have a shot at beating Philly? Do they have a shot at beating Detroit once Detroit's healthy? And it's kind of similar to Philly's outfit there. I don't know what you do. Like you said, they have to fix something in their O-line, but they're also kind of projected to lose their best offensive lineman in Trey Smith. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was a Matt Nagy call, but their next best O-lineman is Joe Thuney, the guard, who they've been playing at left tackle to fill in that void, but it wasn't doing shit in that game. And I would have said at some point, hey, let's move him back to guard and just see if that changes something up, if that helps in some way in the interior. So they need to do that. And I'd say you're going to get receiver help with Rashee Rice, but he's probably going to get suspended. Maybe half a season, maybe a full season, who knows? And I don't know what's going on with Isaiah Pacheco, but he looks shot throughout the entire postseason. So
hey, that's insensitive.
Bad choice of words. I don't know what they do. Does Mahomes rebound from this, or is this like, are we seeing a new Is he falling down a tier? Because those GOAT conversations died quick that night.
Right. Yeah, no, if he wants to get put back into that GOAT conversation, especially being the top dog in the league today, like next year he needs to have a rebound year. And I'm not totally worried about the Chiefs. Because I mean, you might be able to re-sign D-Hop for a cheap veteran deal. He's 33. You might be able to, I mean, if you're DeAndre Hopkins, where else are you going to go?
Right.
If you want the best chance to get a ring, you might as well just stay for a cheap deal. But really, for their free agents that are coming up, you're 1,000% correct with Trey Smith. I mean, 26, he's gonna get paid somewhere, so you might as well just try to keep him in house. And then outside of that, really the only two other names that you would want to make sure to retain would be Justin Reid, their safety, and then Nick Bolton, that linebacker that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, the production value alone that they brought, and then the ages. I mean, I think Justin Reid's only 27 or 28.
Yeah, he's pretty young.
And then Nick Bolton's like 24 or 25. Mm-hmm. So it's like you need to bring back your young guys who have the on-field experience. They know they've been in the system since day one. Just re-sign them and then just rebuild where you can. And I'm more interested to see because I saw that, I don't know if you saw the little blurb from Travis Kelce about potentially returning for next season, because I believe next season is his final year on his contract.
Yeah.
But he came out saying that like he's still thinking about it, whether it's a motivation thing or if he feels like he can still play at a high level. So, I mean, they might be without Travis Kelce next year. So maybe you send Patrick Mahomes and say, hey, you put on your recruiting cap and you need to do anything you can to convince Kelce to stay just for one last year. Have next year be his farewell tour. He seems like the personality that would want to have a farewell tour anyways. I mean, Taylor Swift will be there every step of the way.
Yeah.
But I think that's another kind of, it's like, I guess 1B kind of priority for them outside of re-signing those three guys we just talked about.
But I mean, we saw Kelce this year, and he had his moments where he would flare up and look like the old Kelce, but I don't know, man. I feel like he's still productive. Like he's still like, I'm not going to say like he's like Zach Ertz right now or something, but he has lost a step. He's looked a little shot, and maybe that's just a conditioning thing. Maybe he'll take this, if he comes back for another year, takes it highly serious and gets into some of the best shape of his life. And
off-field distractions need to go away, maybe.
Right. Maybe she needs to train with them. Maybe she needs to be in the coach. Maybe make Taylor a coach, and we might have something. Just the way he looked in that game. I mean, he had some drops that were not, typical of him. And I'm saying this up until the fourth quarter. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter. I'm not gonna lie to you all, folks. I quit. Is on
anybody
the game.
at that point?
I quit on the game with about 10 minutes left. I was like, you know what? It's 10 o'clock. I actually have a chance to go to bed and be, it's not going to feel like a Super Bowl Monday. I'm going to bed. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Eagles. Like, I didn't see what happened there, but that's garbage time at that point. I still think that you could get maybe some type of an upgrade. Watch them. Maybe Kyle Pitts could have his full bloom and resurrection there in Kansas City as a good tight end option for them. But yeah, I mean, they're the Chiefs. You have Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid. They're going to be competitive. Yeah. They're going to make the playoffs next year. But things will be tighter. You have teams that are truly after them now. Buffalo's motivated. Buffalo, I'm sure, feels like they can do it. That's as sobering, as sobering as that AFC Championship game was for them. They probably got a little bit of that kick, probably got a little bit of that high watching the Super Bowl and seeing like, oh, okay, so they're not invincible. We can do this. So you're going to get teams upgrading for them. Baltimore will do the same. Baltimore might have found their motivation now. Teams in your division with Denver and the Chargers are going to be looking to compete with you. Joe Burrow probably will be back if Cincinnati plays it smart this offseason. And the Bengals can be competitive again. So, I don't know. I think there's just a lot. It's going to be a much more vulnerable Chiefs team than we've seen in recent years. But the other side of this, Philly, the Eagles, dude, like they're not losing much this offseason. Like,
Outside of Zach Bond and Mekhi Becton? Not really.
Right.
I mean, and Zach Bond, after his year, he's going to have a monster contract lined up for him from someone. And I don't know how Roseman's the kind of guy who's going to want to pay a premium just to keep an aging linebacker on his roster where he can just go redo it, get another retread and do it again.
Which is what they've been doing. And Nakobe Dean and those guys will be back next year to potentially take maybe take a step that they've been hoping, some of those Georgia guys there. But they're losing Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, to the Saints, which, God, I hope he's getting the bag from them. I hope he's getting his
side note about Kellen Moore, did you see that he already came out stating that he's not committing to Carr as a quarterback?
Yeah.
He's already saying no, I'm not committing to him right now.
He's like, I like him, but but that's gonna be rough for him, right? You have to sign, I don't know what the contract details were for Kellen Moore, but if I were him, I'm insisting on at least 5 years. 5 years guaranteed money on this thing. You don't have to pay me what Ben Johnson's getting, but I need the guarantees that I'm going to be here 5 years, because this thing is going to stink the first couple of seasons with how bad their salary cap situation is.
Do you think he even got on a flight to go back home, or you just stayed in New Orleans?
I would stay in New Orleans. I'd stay in New Orleans. He might be.
All right, guys, I'm staying here. Goodbye.
I'm just going to stay here. They're going to fly my stuff out. I'm gonna have to see.
I'm gonna have to see what his contract was, because I don't think I ever saw the actual specifics drop for him.
The details are always slow on that. But
I mean, I'm more interested to see what Nick Sirianni is going to do as far as replacing him, because you're not really replacing a whole lot, right? Because he's still relatively green as far as the OC would go, and how much control did Nick Sirianni really give Kellen Moore at the end of the day to call plays?
That's what I'm always curious about with Nick Sirianni, because that's what I heard was the problem last year. And with Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson was the offensive coordinator last season for 1 year. And I always heard there was a little bit of tension between him and Sirianni taking over play calling, doing all this different stuff. And Sirianni's a CEO type, right? He's a big, leader of men. But I don't trust him to do the play calling, to make serious decisions, everything. But he'll get everybody hyped up. That's why Big Dom's next to him all the time. They're there to hype up everybody. Big Dom. Oh, happy day. And
looking at their coaching staff right now, if they stay internal, they have Kevin Patullo there, who's a passing coordinator and associate head coach. So I
was gonna say, I would think he's gonna get it.
Who's the running backs coach? Jamal Jamal Singleton, I think. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, talk about a name. Senior defensive assistant / defensive line. Clint Hurt with 2 T's.
That's nice. I would think that they go for the consistency and go with somebody like Patullo. Go somebody inside, somebody that's been, that was right there with Hurts, and keep him in the same sort of scheme for another year.
Yeah, and I think that would make the transition a little bit easier for everybody included. And also, Philadelphia Eagles, if you're listening right now, can you please update Big Dom's picture on your coaching staff page? Because everyone else has these nice headshots. They're all official. And it looks like you just ripped a picture off of Dom's Facebook page. And you just kind of grayed out the background.
Dom has been there. I think Dom has been there as long as since the start of Andy Reid's era there. Dom has just been doing that job, and nobody knows what the job is. He's just there, and he handles things. If you need something handled, Big Dom's got you.
Originally joined the Eagles in 1999, oversees all safety and security matters for players. So, yeah, maybe this picture was taken back in 1999. They just never updated it. He doesn't look like that anymore.
This is why you don't hear about, any type of controversies too many with their players, because Dom's handling it. Whatever situations. He must have hated T.O. He must have hated T.O.
Absolutely.
That doing push-ups in the driveway thing.
Right.
Dom was like, damn
it.
Would have been on that. Would have sat on him. But yeah, with the Eagles, they're scary, man. It's my reasoning with Washington that I want to be hopeful for Washington next year, but I don't see us it felt nice that Jaden Daniels was able to pass on that defense better than Patrick Mahomes could. But, they're just an overwhelming team right here. And like you said, Zach Bond, Mekhi Becton, not huge losses. Zach Bond is a big loss, but I still think that you can replicate that on defense. You have a lot of young dudes on that team that are just going to get better, specifically that cornerback duo with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, who are just going to get better growing together and learning from Darius Slay if they keep him. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson seems like a match made in heaven for Philly, as much of a nuisance as he is. And then your young D-line. Are we ready to say that Jason Kelce might have been overrated based on that offensive line? Like, it didn't. Did it get worse? Did the line get worse? I mean, with Cam Jorgensen?
No, it didn't. But like, that's where I've always kind of felt about Jason Kelce. Like, he's a solid football player. Don't get me wrong. If you're in the NFL playing at a high level for as many years as Jason Kelce did, caps off to him. Yeah. The amount of wear and tear on your body and mental capacity to do that, good for him. But it's like he never like oozed generational offensive line talent. It's a personality hire. Right. Every organization has him. He was a personality hire. He fit right in there with the Philadelphia natives and just the whole organization. It just made sense. He couldn't do what he was doing in Philly, say in San Francisco. Like, he's just a Philly guy. So you just had to keep him there.
Yeah. And like, it's not going to be, the tush push didn't seem to fall off a little bit. I don't know. I started to think, like, during the thing, like, I'm like, whatever. ESPN's like looking back on, like, it was like, should we really have given this guy, maybe we'll give Cam Jurgens a late night show instead of Jason Kelce. Maybe we'll give the late night show to Jalen Hurts. God, people are thirsting over him. Oh my God.
Hey, I get it.
One of the grandmas at the daycare was saying that it's possibly the most handsome Super Bowl team that she's ever seen. Just good looking dudes all over the place.
I mean, he is a nice tall glass of water. He's an attractive man.
He's a fine glass of water.
Water.
Philadelphia water.
You know what? I'm looking at this with Josh Sweat up for a contract year this year too. He's 28. I don't want to say this is going to happen, but Myles Garrett is currently being shopped around. Do we see a world where Myles Garrett gets dealt to Philly?
I've heard about it. That's what I keep seeing. That's what I keep seeing on these mock trades is Myles Garrett to either Philly, to Washington, or to like Detroit. Which, imagine Aiden Hutchinson and Myles Garrett next to each other on a defensive line.
I don't want to.
And that's where I'm saying for what do you do about the Eagles? I do think, like, as dominant as they are, if these other teams are going to be healthy, there is a little bit of competition for them. Yeah, right. There, just based on the mental decisions of Nick Sirianni. Like, do you trust Nick Sirianni to lead them to a repeat next year?
No. I'll just say no, I don't. I think it goes back to kind of what we talked about with Ryan Day in Ohio State, right? Like, Ryan Day just took advantage of having a stellar team around him. And it's kind of the same conversation that you would have with Nick Sirianni. I mean, look, I feel like I could go out there and coach the Eagles. I could win with that team, especially when you're telling your defensive line, hey, you have no other assignments to do tonight, but just run straight. Like, you don't have to worry about dropping coverages. You don't have to worry about, going out and trying to, cover screens. Just run straight. And that's what worries me even more about Myles Garrett even potentially going there, because you tell Myles Garrett, hey, man, all you got to worry about is the tackle in front of you. Just go through the guy in front of you and just keep moving. That's something that Myles Garrett would love to do.
One place that Myles Garrett could end up, maybe we get him in a trade to the New York Jets for Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that could work out. Be nice. I don't know. Is there somebody that could, maybe hype that up a little bit?
Hey,
Luis Martinez joins the show. Big Chief.
It's one of the 10 rainy days in San Diego.
Congrats! It's needed. Yeah. It's nice to see.
Hey, it's February and I got a T-shirt on. What you think? Hey.
Ooh, stud.
Could be worse.
That's how it goes. Oh,
are you talking about A-Rod?
Yeah, the Jets are.
Hey, he now has the same amount of Super Bowl wins as Kenny Pickett.
Congrats! Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Kenny Pickett to the Jets next year? How do you feel?
Do they make rings small enough for Kenny Pickett?
Look, they got Taylor for 4 weeks until he punctures a lung or breaks something. And then they got the Florida State guy. What's your guy, right?
Jordan Travis?
Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they see something in that guy. What do you think? Should I be excited about Jordan Travis?
Oh, I mean, you can't ask me because I'm biased.
Yeah.
I like Jordan Travis. I've just been hearing a lot of, rumors out there that his rehab hasn't been going as smoothly as they were hoping after that gruesome injury last year in college. So hopefully he bounces back. But hey, the job's open.
Listen, anytime you can have a guy where we're 5-11 and he still like throws for more yards and more touchdowns than like 99% of our quarterbacks ever had, and then you just basically say, sorry, we don't want that anymore. You can go finish your Hall of Fame career with the Niners or wherever the hell he ends up now. You got to do it as a Jets. Every time they do something right, they do 6 things wrong. So, as you know, I have my Jets fandom on pause because of this and other shenanigans that the Jets have done. So it doesn't surprise me. I'm upset by it. I don't think it was a good move, but it does not surprise me in the least.
You know what? When I come out to San Diego at the end of July, I'll make sure to bring you a Baker Mayfield jersey. How about that?
Dude, I'll
you be a Bucks fan with me.
Give me fuck it. Bring him out. Send me a Manders jersey. I don't care, man. I'm a free agent. The only jersey that I will wear, the only Jets jersey I will wear in San Diego is a LaDainian Tomlinson Jets jersey.
Ooh.
Boy, he had that 2-year run with us that was pretty dope. I would love to rock a number 21 green and white LT jersey for sure.
Let's get LaDainian Tomlinson on that. We'll talk to him. We'll get him.
Yeah, let's get LT on that. Yeah.
Luis, how long do we have you for?
I'm good until somebody comes in and says pierce my body or tattoo my skin. Let me head to the back room so it's a little bit less. We got like 3 tattoos going on today. It's a busy Thursday over here at the shop.
Well, it's good that we're going to be sending a correspondent out there. That we're sending Scott out there to check things out and make sure it's going well.
Hey, I figured out the jersey that we can get Luis. We can get him a Brad Johnson Commanders Buccaneers combo jersey.
Ooh,
man,
that could be clean.
Oh my god.
Well, look, you kind of came at the perfect time because I wanted to, while we're closing up Super Bowl talk, I wanted to bring up the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. Most watched halftime show in the history of the Super Bowl now. 133 million viewers, topped Michael Jackson's halftime show. Where does it rank all time for you all? Like where does it rank? Where did you like it? Or was it overrated? I've been seeing opinions all over the place.
I am placing it solidly in the top 10 and possibly borderline top 5. For me, it's still Prince in the Rain singing Purple Rain in Miami. That's still number 1, undefeated. I love Tom Petty at the first Patriots Super Bowl. Just the fact that the song sort of went along with the theme of that Super Bowl, like the Won't Back Down and all this stuff, the Patriots. Even though fuck the Patriots, I still go Prince, Tom Petty, Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney. Those are like my top 4. And then from there, it's like a hosh posh of like, do you like Bruno Mars better? The Weeknd sucked, do you want, Gloria Estefan? There's been a lot of memorable, the Blues Brothers, there's been a lot of fucking memorable ones, but I think that the highest I would put it would be like 5 to 7. Those would be my top 4. Probably like one of the top, best hip hop performances. The worst halftime show ever crowd sort of showed their colors there, not understanding. And then you have the other, the added political significance. Serena, after she got, like everybody just clowned on her for sea walking at the Olympics and at Wimbledon and stuff like that, and her coming back and. It wasn't as good as Tom Petty, but it was very, very petty. which we love to see. So, I put it up there pretty high. I don't know about Scott.
Yeah, no, I have it right there, kind of in that 4 to 6 range. I enjoyed it. It was kind of eye opening when I'm at the bar and the halftime shit. Kendrick's up there doing his thing, and there's 3 of us in there actually getting hyped up, and I was the only white person that was actually hyped up at that point. But like, I loved it. I really enjoyed it, and even the when Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg had their halftime show. What was that? 2022? It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I was actually at your house, Reid, and we watched the game, and that was the halftime show, and the whole house was just getting into it. And memorable, I guess, not for the best of reasons. I mean, you can't have a halftime conversation without the Janet Jackson snafu. I think that's probably in my top.
Yeah, the Timberlake,
Yeah, I think that's one of the more memorable ones, just because how controversial it was. But I think ones that kind of slipped on was the that was 2000.
Katy Perry too. Katy Perry probably would be like my number 5 right now with Left Shark and that whole. It was it was like a circus. I mean, like even Pregnant Rihanna did a good show. There's a lot of stuff happening.
I need to rewatch Pregnant Rihanna just because I got so distracted by realizing she was pregnant that it like threw me off like the rest of the show. I was like, oh wait, it's like she is pregnant. I was like, what song are we doing right now? Wait a second. It's like, wait, she's pregnant. Don't make her go all the way up there.
Well, I like last year's Super Bowl halftime show specifically because when Ludacris is coming on stage and he's like walking towards the camera, in the background you can see one of the pole dancers get all the way up to the top of the pole and then she just falls down.
Oh yeah, did anybody ever check on her?
Quickly panned away.
Or she's still there. She came with the Palestinian flag.
Ugh.
That was wild. Super Bowl direction is crazy. Like how quick that was. Like that dude was like right on the stage, right in the middle of the dancers. I never saw him. I didn't see a glimpse of him.
No, I didn't see anything about it until after the next day when they were talking about it.
Was Trump still there? Do you think he was still there at that point, or had he already left?
I heard he left at halftime.
Yeah, of course he did.
So you didn't even want to see the show?
Probably
because it would have cost us $40 million and not $20 million for him to stay the whole game.
It would have. He probably left during John Batiste's national anthem. I mean,
Doge probably told him, "Hey, you can't keep wasting governmental funds like that. You can only go for halftime." Trump, Don, you can only go for half.
Oh, okay.